take this opportunity if I get a round of applause for the Academy Singers. It was their first concert. Give them the opportunity to exit the stage. And then our first speaker will be the Governor of the state of Nevada, Steve Sisolak.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for gathering here on this solemn day of remembrance and healing. 2 years ago, it seems like an eternity in some ways, but for those who lost someone, a brother, a sister, a parent, a child, or a friend, it feels like yesterday. Like many people here today, I spent a lot of time over the last 2 years recounting my own experiences on that fateful night. I've thought about the moment, and I will never forget the moment that I got the call from the sheriff. I remember how the pit in my stomach grew bigger and bigger as I drove down Charleston to get to Metro and to UMC. And I've never forgotten the sound and the sight of cell phones ringing across the field when I visited the site, many of which would never get answered, searching, looking, hoping to hear from a lost loved one. Everyone connected to this tragedy has those moments that will be forever seared in their memories. For some, it was the moment they heard the gunshots. For others, it was the moment they got the call that a loved one was harmed. First responders likely remember rushing to the scene or when the ambulance pulled into the emergency entrance with the victims. We all remember where we were when it first happened or when we first heard the news. I know those memories are as strong today as they were the day afterwards. I say this because it's important for me to let you all know that I share that feeling with you. None of us are alone in our grief, our reflection, and our healing. But for every memory that comes flooding back, that breaks our heart all over again, I encourage you and I beseech you to think of the good. All through the darkness came out an immense light. Our Las Vegas family showed its true colors like never before. To give blood, to give comfort, to give support, and to push through the next day and the next and the one after that. Even in the moment of blinding terror, the good nature of thousands overshadowed the evil of one monster. As painful as it may be, especially on a day like today, our capacity to remember, to feel what we felt all over again, is what binds us together as a community, as a family, and it makes us strong, just like we were on the night and the day after. I'll leave you all with this. After the tragedy, 2 years ago today, many around the country remarked on the strength of the Vegas community, almost as if they were surprised that Las Vegas is in fact a tight-knit community. The nation discovered what we knew all along, that beyond the neon signs, we are a city of neighbors that look out for each other, that have each other's backs, that have an immense pride in the place that we call home. That we are, and we have always been, Vegas strong. The difference now, though, is that 2 years after that horrible night, we are Vegas stronger. It might be painful to remember, but our strength comes from the will to never forget. Thank you all, and God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.
It's difficult to believe that 2 years have passed since 1 October. I'm sure for many who lost a loved one, it feels like it was just yesterday. Even 2 years after the attack that changed all of us, we still try to make sense of something that defies anything we can understand. We as a country also continue to revisit the grief and sadness that we experienced from 1 October as we struggle with mass shootings. Each one reminds us of what happened here. We empathize and understand what other communities are feeling, the shock, the heartache, and the pain. Too many lives have been lost. Too many people have been hurt. So yesterday, I ran into an individual. It doesn't matter who it was, but they asked me a question, or they presented a scenario to me. They said, "Sheriff, we've taken the opportunity to thank all the first responders, the medical personnel, the coroner's office, but we've never taken the opportunity to thank the individuals that were working the event and the people from MGM Entertainment that provided the event, who had to respond and provide assistance." And I thought it was important for me today to take this opportunity to thank each one of those individuals and remind them we have not forgotten them, and we will continue to remember them. As your sheriff, I will give you my word that in Clark County, Nevada, we are committed to protecting the lives of the people who live here and those who come to visit. I want you to know that we are vigilant, doing our best to be watchful and to stand guard. We know our obligation, our responsibility. We know well the duty we have in shielding and securing our community. There is nothing that we can do to bring back the lost lives of that day. But this morning is meant to take a moment, a pause, to reflect on their lives, how amazing they were, and what they meant to us. It is in this way that they stand with us, and we will continue to remember them. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Governor. And thank you, everyone, for being here this morning. It's a lot for all of us to be here, but we want to remember those that we lost and those that are still most affected by what we witnessed that night. Eventually, I'll go a day without being sad or angry, but not today. But eventually, I might get there. But I'll never forget. And I know that I'm not alone. Many of you out there feel the same. But it's important today that we celebrate the lives that we lost, and it's important that we help others move forward. We, Las Vegas, Clark County, Nevada, my home, that's what we do. People were helping each other that night on the ground before the event ended. Strangers were driving by, picking up hundreds of people, bringing them to the hospital or bringing them to a safe place. There were many heroes that night, even though that they didn't want to be. And with hours, police, fire stations were overwhelmed with free food, cases of water, and anything else that you could have imagined. Blood drives, they were organized in minutes, and there were lines as far as you could see. And thousands of people helped where they could. Today, it's also okay to be proud of the community that has stepped up to support those who need it. Together, we will continue to help those get up and keep moving forward. And that's what makes Vegas stronger to me. And that's what we're celebrating here today. So thank you all for being here with me this morning. And most importantly, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Joe Robbins.
Good morning, and thank you for honoring the victims of the horrible tragedy that occurred 2 years ago today. For me, no anniversary is more terrible than the one that marks the death of my son, Quentin Robbins. That said, the anniversary of the loss of a spouse, a parent, a sibling, or best friend for those affected is no less troubling. This kind of brokenness can never, ever explain, nor will this pain ever completely go away. Our grief is different in many ways. However, it is the same in the way that the family and friends of those 58 lives that were so brutally taken have changed forever. For a resilient community such as ours, no anniversary is more terrible than the one that recalls how your neighbors and guests were wantonly slain, even while their hearts were singing out in joy as they listened to live music with their friends and loved ones. How is it that anyone should perish in such circumstances? How is it that our families, this community, and the community's guests should suffer as we have? We all lost whatever innocence we had that horrific nightmare of an evening on 1 October 2017. The world is indeed an unimaginably frightful place at times. What does one do with such loss? What does one do with the grief? It certainly helped that the Vegas Strong community and people around the nation demonstrated their love and support in many thoughtful ways. I, for one, never felt such an outpouring of love. The community has been there for us in our time of despair. I cannot express my gratitude enough for the support we continue to receive. A loss of a loved one is a loss, and there is no way to replace those that have moved on from this life. All that can be done is to support one another, to love one another, and that has been my family's experience, and I believe the experience of many families affected by that day. None of us want those who lost to be forgotten. Many, if not all of us, would like to channel this dreadful experience into something beneficial, something that helps make our society a better place. There is so much anger, evil, and sorrow in the world, and we must do our part to make life better for others. We must be the good. Tens of thousands of acts of kindness have been performed, countless events have been held, dedications have been made, and several families have created foundations, as did we. All to respect, remember, and honor the 58 lives that were gone too soon. My son Quentin was 20 years old when he was taken from us. Born and raised in Henderson, Nevada, he was an athlete, playing multiple sports, loved the outdoors, and loved activity involving family and friends. Quentin certainly loved sports, and as a Henderson City Recreation employee, he was able to indulge his passion. He enjoyed coaching young kids to play football, baseball, and basketball. He enjoyed seeing kids excel and having a great time. It was his passion for sports and for helping others that led to the creation of the Quentin Robbins Play It Forward Foundation. The foundation supports local athletes with scholarships to continue their education and supports various forms of youth sports for the community that he loved and the schools that he attended. In addition, subsidizing youth programs for the less fortunate kids to have experiences that were unattainable before. It's the sort of work that I know Quentin would be very happy and proud. It is our pleasure and honor to do this work in his memory. On a day like this, I would like all of us to commit to making our community a better place. In ways large and small, we should do all that we can to turn loss and despair into something more emotionally positive. Let us show love and support for our neighbors. Let us try to be more understanding and more compassionate. Let us try to create a better place to live in whatever ways we are able. In our sorrow, understand that we may not always be up to it, but we must try. We must try because that's what Quentin, my son, and all the other 57 lives we lost that day would want. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak today and for the compassion that has been expressed in so many ways. We are Vegas strong. In closing, I ask that we respect the 58 by asking you to join me in observing 58 seconds of silence. Thank you.
Honor guard, please retrieve the colors. Once again, I want to thank everybody for coming today. This will conclude the ceremony, but prior to us concluding, I want to personally thank the county commissioners, county manager Yolanda. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to put this ceremony together in the act of remembrance of what occurred 2 years ago on 1 October. And I want to repeat one little line that Mr. Robbins presented in his presentation was for each and every one of us to take the opportunity, especially since there are some very special people here in this audience today, to just take a moment of your day, turn around, shake their hand, give them a hug, and say, I appreciate you. So have a wonderful day, and thank you for attending. I'm sorry. Hold on. I guess I had a faux pas here. We have the.
He's almost finished. First I want to thank everybody for coming in. Most importantly, this morning in the Rotunda, we are going to be hosting a wellness center with the Vegas Strong Resiliency Center, which will be around for a very long time. So please stop in this morning, see what it's about, and be part of Vegas being stronger. Thank you.